Welcome to Left On Wed.
Bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. Georgia Fletcher.
Adam Sini.
In the same room.
How did we get here?
In this part of town.
Do you know who Evel Knievel is? You don't.
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Evel Knievel is like a famous daredevil, American stuntman, right?
Okay.
Had the name Evel Knievel. And this is a true story. And you can Google it, and then it's your story. And trust me, it's real. So Evel Knievel, funny name, right? Obviously not his real name. His name's like Stephen Knievel. He gets arrested one day. He was in like a police chase or something.
Okay.
Puts in prison. The guy in the prison cell beside him, his surname is Knorfel. No joke. And he's like William Knorfel, but he was a terrible guy, and all the police guards called him Awful Knorfel. So then Stephen Knievel's in the cell beside, and he goes, Awful Knorfel, that's funny. I'm Evel Knievel. And that's how he got its name, Evel Knievel.
Is that a real story?
It's a real story. I Googled it the other day. It's true. Look it up.
How did they look after themselves?
What's today's topic?
It's all about
Self-care.
self-care.
Okay.
We didn't pack any cucumbers or face masks.
Yeah. Self-care is important. It is so important. Wedding planning is hard. For some. A lot of couples I talk to, I'm like, how's wedding planning going? And they're like, it's a lot to do, isn't there? It's like, yeah, you take time for yourself as well. Some couples I talk to are like, easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. Easy. Some couples are like, no. So this episode's all about little tips for self-care, for looking after yourself during the process, keeping your relationship on a right course for the future.
Because the wedding is just one day.
That's right.
And we now prepare for marriage.
That's right. And spoiler, marriage is pretty much the same as before, but
Yes.
now you have less money.
I don't know if people like to hear that.
No?
I mean, it's real though.
It is real, yeah. But there is like the old-fashioned point of view that, you know, marriage is the start of a relationship, and
We do want to
That's
stay
not
in
true.
business, so
I know, but no, I think that the idea of marriage has changed and what it means for people is different. And that's
Yeah.
what I always tell couples. It's like, I want to know why you're getting married, why marriage is important to you, why are we
Yes.
here? And some couples are like, yeah, we understand that. Well, why are you smiling at me?
because you've got something to share.
Yes, I have. Oh my goodness, Georgia, thank you so much. You might have seen.
I have to share Adam with Dane from Salty Shutter now.
Oh my goodness, yes, you do. I have 2 business partners now, and they're tearing me apart. Everybody wants a piece of me. And it's like, guys, you can all have me. It's all good. I know.
So
anyway,
just announce it.
Shot Gin Weddings. It's already been announced at
Oh.
this stage, right?
Yeah,
we had a
whatever.
big launch. Shot Gin Weddings. It's I almost said bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. That's this one. I can't remember the tagline because I'm with Georgia. A goddamn good time is the tagline, right?
Oh.
So we're taking over a gin distillery for a day, one couple on the hour, every hour. We're going to get you hitched, papped, and sourced. What you do next is up to you. You like that?
Yes, you came up with that script, didn't you?
Look us up, yeah. Look us up at Shot Gin Weddings. It's big, it's huge. The whole thing is nuts. So if you're excited, if you're looking at smaller weddings, self-care, this is your pop-up wedding chapel registry. Don't get hitched at the wedding registry. Come to us. We've got a sick setup from Gemma from Subsubtle. We've got Dane taking photos. I'm going to do you a personalised, authentic, beautiful ceremony. It's going to be fun. It's going to be irreverent, but it's going to be meaningful. You shot some gin. You get the place for an hour. And then what you do up, it's up to you. It's in Marrittville in Sydney. Let's get you married.
The point is, Adam's going to look after you because that's what you should do if you're planning a big wedding. But if you want an elopement, Shot Gin Weddings, go and look it up. Follow them on Instagram. Apparently, you don't need to do much more than that because they're being advertised left, right, and centre. They're popping off.
Yeah, we don't need this podcast anymore. See you later. Let's talk about self-care more generally. Let's talk about looking after yourself. Should we go through? Let's go through like the whole process. So let's start before the wedding. Where are we at? How can we look after ourselves pre-wedding?
Not rushing into planning.
Love it.
So the couple last night, they were really, really organised, and Brooke knew exactly who she wanted in her vendor team. So she actually booked the wonderful Matt Ashton and then picked a date around his availability. What you like to call
Reverse booking.
a genius tip to take into your wedding planning. So you can avoid stress and overwhelm by starting to look around for your vendors and your venues. Some people that say, I'm not even engaged yet, but I know this is what I want. I'm like, great. That will save you so much time and stress rather than booking a date and then the people that you find on social media or find in the big wide world web are not available because that's disappointing.
And on that, trusting your vendors that you booked and the referrals they give. Like I always say, referrals are the best piece of advertising. If another vendor says this person is really good because I've worked with them many times, you know, their work is great, but their ethic is great, and the way they communicate with couples is fantastic. What a great referral. And then you've saved yourself so much work of Googling the 1,000 photographers out there or whatever. Like, this person's
Taserland
good.
said last night that this wedding feels like a holiday because he had so much fun.
Yeah. What makes a difference, your vendor team getting along and people that all work together on a daily basis or whatever.
so
Like last
good.
night I had Salty Shutter, Dane and I were together and we're friends. You were with our friends Matt and Tim. So it's like, it makes a difference for us and we love going to work when we work with these people. So it's like, that will alleviate some stress on you. I speak to couples all the time where they're like, oh, I'm like, how's wedding planning? They're going like, you know what? Our vendor team are so great. It's just made our life so easy. And I think that does lead into self-care. If you're getting people that you know are professional, are going to look after you, then that alleviates that stress from you as well.
I often find too, if they haven't booked me as their MC or their coordinator, I often get questions that may fall into the hands if they had have booked an MC or a coordinator, but we don't gatekeep that information. We want to support our couples and give that guidance if they need it. But having those organised, trustworthy vendors that you know and love will definitely help you look after yourself in your planning.
And going right back to the start, so you're engaged, right? I think it's really important to take some time to just be engaged.
Yeah.
Don't plan your wedding for a little bit. You don't have to do it the next day. Some
I think
people
I said that.
Yeah, okay. I just thought, what a great point. And it was circling around my head and then I've realised that Georgia said it. Did you say that?
It said
Take-
don't rush into
Yeah,
planning.
don't rush into it.
You literally
Take some
said,
time.
how do you
What a great idea I just had. Don't rush into planning. I'm really smart. Have you ever thought about the ideas that I
You
have?
were so busy trying to work out a good segue for shop
I wasn't listening to what you were saying, were I? I just wanted to talk about my other business, basically. What I want to say is, whatever Georgia said were my ideas. We talk about this before we go on air, and it's all me. It's not, let's be honest. Take time. Okay, it was a good point, Georgia. Fine. Take time to be engaged and not being wedding planning just for a little bit. I think
You
that's
don't
good.
even need to have an engagement party if you don't want to.
And then on that, yeah, we didn't have an engagement party.
Neither.
Some people like engagement parties, and I get that as well, to celebrate.
Some people like to turn their engagements into surprise weddings.
Which I love
I
as
love
well.
it too.
But yeah, you don't need to feel the pressure to have an engagement party. That's a great point. Love that. Also, pre-wedding, have date nights. Ange and I, we had a date night last night. The first, just the two of us, since our little baby Bowie was born.
Cute, we
We've
love
got two
Bowie.
little children now, which was really lovely.
So date nights post-wedding, also very important.
And on those date nights, non-wedding chat. See if you can say, we've done all our wedding planning chat for the week. It's off the table. We're not allowed to talk about it. Just to keep, because the wedding isn't the be-all and end-all of your life. You still have lives. You still have lives post-wedding. So keeping that alive as well. Just be the two of you like you always have been and will be.
And while we're wearing our rose-coloured glasses because planning's going great, we didn't rush into an engagement party. We're not rushing into planning, but we're simply browsing the internet for vendors that we might love. But we are reaching a point where it's getting stressful and overwhelming, and maybe we're having some difficult conversations.
Yeah.
So what should we do around those difficult conversations, do you think?
With each other, you mean?
Yes, or also with family.
Yeah, it's tricky. And every family, like, I hear this a lot from couples, it's like, oh, you know, my dad's not in the picture or whatever. And it's like, you'd be surprised how often I hear this. It's fine. So look after yourself with that. Don't put pressure on yourself to what family wants from your wedding day too much because it's your wedding day. Do what you want to do first. It's not anyone else's wedding day. I think
some particular triggers for that discussion is around people that you haven't invited in your family too.
Yeah.
For me, my nana said, invite representatives. I'm one of 27 grandchildren. My dad's one of 12. So there was no way when Max has 12 grandchildren and his mum's one of 3. It was just so different to make it equal. So we had to really slimline and have difficult conversations. And once I got that reassurance and that dialogue that, yes, I want to have people there that will bring the fun and the good times, the people I want there not out of obligation. I also had this really funny thought today. Okay. It's a bit awful.
Go.
And I thought, if there are people you don't really want at your wedding,
kill them.
because you need to look after yourself.
Okay.
that you tell people when your wedding date is and delay your invites. And don't rush to send them out, because if you send them out a bit late, then people are like, oh, sorry, we've made plans. Is that really bad that I thought that? Oh, okay.
But also, you tell people that you actually want their the date. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I would say if I don't want you.
This is mean. Yeah, okay.
I'd say, Oscar, our wedding is going to be on the 14th of December. And then
That's my birthday.
in October, your 30th birthday.
That's my 30th
I know.
birthday this year.
And then in October, you get an invite. You're like, oh no, I've planned my 30th birthday. It's my birthday. I can't come to your wedding, Georgia. And I'd be like, oh no, but that's fine.
Can I talk about something that I've seen a lot of
We know you do
recently?
shotchin weddings.
It's called shotchin weddings. No. Is I've actually had a few cancellations over the last year of weddings fully.
Okay.
I've had a few postponements as well.
You actually have been dealt with a few.
Yeah, quite a few. For different reasons. Ones that I don't need to share on this podcast. It's
Maybe
very
they
personal to those people.
didn't really want you to come.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, they're still getting married, but they just didn't want me anymore. Rough. But yeah, more than you'd expect. Like during COVID, we've spoken about this on podcast before, vendors know how to postpone weddings easily. So I've had a few postponements. Some of them have been, having a baby, need to postpone. Great idea. Take that time, self-care to have your baby and be in your baby bubble, then get married. Don't put the pressure of a wedding on you. I think that's great. And most vendors will be pretty good about giving you a postponement. But talk to your vendor team. I've had ones that are postponed basically saying we need time to work on our relationship before we get married, which I think is very emotionally intelligent. It's very smart, because why rush into that when you may not be ready? So this is a very small amount of people that this might be for. If you need to have that difficult conversation, I think it's worth doing it than jumping into something you might not be ready for, / even the wedding planning that you might be ready for. And I've had cancellations as well. I've had couples, not because they broke up. I've had couples that have broken up. I've had couples that have just been like, you know what? This is too hard.
Yeah.
We are not getting married. We're just going to put it on the back burner. We're going to cancel the wedding, and maybe we will reach out in a few years when we're ready. Which, you know what? Great. Maybe the pressure was too much and they didn't need to do it. So I see nothing wrong with that.
And yeah, there is absolutely nothing wrong with either of those options. I've had two couples, one that have found out that they're pregnant during their wedding planning and they're really excited to have, a couple-month-old baby. Yeah. Whereas on the flip side, I've also had a couple that have fallen pregnant and they're like, you know what, we're just going to wait. Yeah. Especially as those quotes start coming in too, and you start thinking about the mounting cost of a wedding. Yeah, Cosy lives. Real problem. Real problem. But people will understand. And I'm going to go back on my point. Have those conversations early.
Yes,
vendors really like to know, especially if it is in prime wedding season. Yeah. The sooner you can cancel, postpone, reschedule, especially with your vendors, it's really important.
And if you're like, you know what, maybe this big wedding isn't, go elope. I see a couple. No one ever regrets eloping. Be like, you know what, we're dropping this, and we still want to get married. We're just going to do this X, Y, Z, super easy. We're going to go to shotgun weddings, go to Adam's Registry, get married, and then it's done. Or take your celebrant off to the Blue Mountains to a cliff and get married there. Don't push them. Just keep them on. Okay, let's go to on the day self-care, looking after yourselves on your day, biggest day of your lives. Don't put too much pressure on it, but take the time during the day to absorb the moments, to be with each other and actually enjoy your wedding day.
Let's talk about some things that we've seen help to manage self-care. So let's think about weddings that we've seen, the way we walk in or greet the couple. What do you think has made a difference to how they feel? If you don't have an answer,
go.
I'll say.
Please.
Being on site the day before or nice and early the morning of. You're settled in, there's no unpacking, the logistics of where this is going to be in what car. Everything is in the one place and you are there and you are settled. Yeah. You can organise a first look, or yesterday they did a first touch. Yeah. So Stephen still wanted to have that moment of seeing Brooke for the first time walking down the aisle, and they decided to compromise and do a first touch. And a huge shout out to Matt and Tim Blackader and Matt Ashton. They choreographed this so well at Seacliff House. So we brought Stephen over to the house at Seacliff House. Brooke was staying in that main one. We tucked Stephen outside and then brought him in, hiding behind a wall. And they met like around a corner and held hands, and they just had a little chat.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And they then had 2 sets of vows. They shared some private vows later on in their portraits. They actually took Taserland with them to do a first dance,
cute.
which was awesome.
Just the 2 of them.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And then they also had specific ceremony vows that were a little bit shorter and more condensed.
And that's managing time with each other really beautifully
Yes.
as well. One of the best pieces of advice is I think Ange and I got before our wedding day was at some point during the day, the night, take a moment, just the 2 of you, to walk away, look at the whole thing from afar and just be like, whoa, everyone is here for us. We spent a year planning this and it's here. How cool is this?
And they did lots of that yesterday,
that.
and they also had a sweetheart table, and that helped.
Just the 2 of them on a
yes.
table. Yeah, it's cute.
I've seen that a few times, and it's really great for those introverted extroverts
Yep.
that love to give their all on the dance floor, mingle with everyone, but also draw back to recharge.
Because I see a lot, the couple, like, they get married, they walk down the end of the aisle, and then they get torn off to either side because they're cuddling this person. They're actually not together. It's like,
Yeah.
as much as we can, be with each other because you're there because the 2 of you are getting married. Prioritize each other as well as all your friends and family. And that's tough.
So although we come into self-care and think cucumbers and face masks,
Which is important as well.
Sounds like the crux of self-care is connection.
Yep. Okay, so let's skip to after the wedding. You're married, we've done all these beautiful things. The post-wedding blues is something that is a thing. So, Georgia, how do we navigate that?
That's a real thing, and I don't think people realise it happens until they're deep in it.
Yeah.
So after the wedding, you have had the most amazing day. There's cloud nine wedding bliss, as you have just had the most amazing day. Maybe you're having a recovery lunch, brunch, whatever. You may be staying at the property for a few days to unwind before a honeymoon later on. But what starts to happen is there's a reason why wedding planners earn money with a full-time salary. And you, as the bride or groom or the couple, that may not be your paid job. And all of a sudden it feels like all of these bricks are falling off your shoulders. There's a sense of relief that you don't have to plan anything. But for many, many people that I find have taken wedding planning by the horns, they've just loved it and enjoyed it, they have nowhere to put that time and energy anymore. And they go, okay. And this is where, going back to your idea of having date nights where you can maintain those conversations around hobbies, interests, shared experiences, will really have helped to fill that void after the wedding.
Yeah.
To have things and activities to do, to think about, so that you don't have to plan your wedding.
And then you have that excitement as well of the upcoming after your wedding. You still get to get your photo gallery back. Possibly you have your video coming back, all that sort of stuff. So make an effort for that to sit down and make it a thing.
Yeah.
You get your photo gallery back, put it on the big screen, pour some wine and watch it together and make it a thing.
Do
Watch
you
your
know
video
what I
together.
like is when people share their wedding chats or their album reaction.
Yeah, cool.
I've really
it's
enjoyed
cute.
watching couples react to their wedding album or their wedding
Yeah.
chats interviews.
Every year on our wedding anniversary, we've only had 2. Ange and I, we didn't have a videographer, idiots, but we did have our ceremony and our speeches filmed. So on our anniversaries, our thing is we watch the ceremony back together.
That's really
and that's our thing
nice.
every year that we will do forever, which I think is try and
A
keep
way of
it.
looking after
Yeah,
yourself.
and we'll look at our photos, and I got our photos made into a magazine that sits on our coffee table, so it's
Great.
always there. Iggy likes to rip out pages, which is just fantastic for an expensive magazine that I bought. Keep the romance alive.
Yeah, you know how to
Look
do
after
that, don't you?
yourselves. I know how to like a dog.
Hey, thanks for listening.
We are so happy that you listened. I'm over the moon. In fact, if you want a little bit more, follow us on the socials. Where are we?
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Left on Wed Podcast.
And if you want to inquire with our services for celebrant MC and coordination, you can find Georgia at Georgia Fletcher Celebrant.
And you can find Adam at Married by Adam.
Hey, if you have any ideas, questions, topics for episodes, please slide into our DMs. You can send us an email as well, which is
leftonwedpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're loving the podcast, please tell your friends, tell people who are getting hitched. We need you to spread the word like wildfire. Get it out there.
We really want to say a big thank you to Long Reef Golf Club as well for letting us record the podcast here at their incredible wedding venue. So inquire with them today if you're looking for the perfect wedding venue for your private event or your wedding.
See you there soon, Georgia.
See you there.